Tulsi Gabbard accuses Obama of treason and the media panics. The intel is out. The claims are nuclear. In the media, they're scrambling. Tulsi Gabbard just accused Barack Obama of leading a treasonous coup. CNN cut the feed mid-sentence. And the DOJ just told Trump his name's in the Epstein files. Let's roll the tape.
Hurry up.
Before we get into it, you know what I need you to do, people. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and ring that bell because this rabbit hole just got a lot deeper. Let's go.
Multiple intelligence community assessments released in the months leading up to the November 2016 election concluded that Russia had neither the intent nor capability to impact the outcome of the U.S. election. On December 5th.
We've been listening there to the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, continuing on what has now been a multi-day effort, not only with public statements like this, but release of documents to attempt to back up the quite extreme allegation that President Obama is guilty of treason and that he worked in some sort of conspiracy with Hillary Clinton, etc., in the assessment by the intelligence community at the time that Russia interfered in the 2016 election.
Tulsi just put Obama on notice and CNN yanked the feed. This wasn't journalism, it was damage control. Think about what just happened. A sitting intelligence director just accused a former president of leading a coordinated intel hoax. If this were Trump, we'd be hearing sirens 24/7. But because it's Obama, cut the mic, run the distraction, and gaslight the public. They say it's about unverified claims, yet they ran with Steele's fake dossier for years. So when Tulsi shows up with declassified receipts, what do we get? Silence. And remember, Obama wasn't just in the room. She's saying he led the operation.
This is what the White House believes is the most important pressing topic of the day, not the economy, not what is happening on Capitol Hill, not what's happening in Ukraine, not as what is happening in so many other places, but talking about the 2016 campaign. So look, we have reached out to representatives of the former Clinton campaign, which you and I covered at the time, Brianna. We will let you know if we hear back from them on these new allegations, but we should point out that these are some pretty far out there allegations that saying the Russian intelligence community had information that Hillary Clinton was on tranquilizers at the time. This was in no way verified. We have no idea. I mean, this is hardly information that we should even be repeating. Never mind that it's some years after the fact, 8 years more than that after the fact, but also just to look at the source. But look, this is the what this White House wants to talk about, and I'm not sure that we should spend that much more time on it, frankly.
CNN's crying that we should move on. But they spent 4 years obsessed with Russia and P-tapes. Suddenly, the truth shows up, and it's old news. That's rich. They sure didn't have a problem chasing fake news, just real accountability. And now, they're even dragging out tranquilizer rumors about Hillary just to discredit the entire thing. Pure desperation.
Just on this, Director Gabbard, you referenced the past intelligence reports and assessments on this, including that 2017 one that was signed off, as Ed noted, by every Republican on the Senate intelligence community, including the acting chair of the time, now Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who said in a statement that they did not find any evidence of Russian collusion, but they did find, however, is very troubling, and they found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling. One, are you saying that he's wrong in that statement that he made then? And secondly, what would you say to people who believe that you're only releasing these documents now to improve your standing with the president after he said that your intelligence assessments were wrong?
Well, first, I want to correct something that you stated, which was citing the Senate Intelligence Committee's report as being one and the same. I think you said the intelligence community. The Senate Intelligence Committee has a very different function than the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. The evidence and the intelligence that has been declassified and released is irrefutable. I'm going to let Caroline speak to Secretary Rubio.
I'll speak to both questions. First, on Secretary Rubio, he put out a statement in 2020 following that Senate Intelligence Committee report, and he said what they found is troubling. We found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling, which the Director of National Intelligence just confirmed for all of you, that Russia was trying to sow distrust and chaos. But what's the outrage in this that Secretary Rubio did not say at the time, the Democrats were saying at the time, is the fact that the intelligence community was concocting this narrative that the president colluded with the Russians, that the president's son was holding secret meetings with the Russians. All of these lies that were never true.
Nice try, but let's get this one straight. Tulsi isn't disputing that Russia meddled. She's exposing the fake narrative that Trump colluded. That's the lie. That's what was manufactured. And Rubio's statement even said they found no evidence of collusion. So don't twist the words. They all knew the Steele dossier was dump truck juice and still used it to spy on Americans. That's not national security. That's political warfare.
As for your second question, Caitlin, I think who is saying that she would release this to try to boost her standing with the president? Who has said that?
Well, the president has publicly undermined her when it came to Iran. He said she was wrong. He told me that she didn't know what she was talking about. That was on Air Force One on camera.
The only people who are suggesting that the Director of National Intelligence would release evidence to try to boost her standing with the president are the people in this room who constantly try to sow distrust and chaos amongst the president's cabinet, and it is not working. I will just answer your question directly. I am with the President of the United States every day. He has the utmost confidence in Director Gabbard. He always has. He continues to. And that is true of his entire cabinet, who is all working as one team to deliver on the promises this president made.
That was brutal and well-deserved. Caitlin Collins tried to frame this like Gabbard was sticking up for Trump after disagreeing on Iran. But the White House just called it out. This is the press playing high school drama instead of asking for national treason. If anything, Gabbard's record shows she's not afraid to push back. That's what makes this even more credible.
You believe that any of this new information implicates former President Obama in criminal behavior?
We have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI. To investigate the criminal implications of this.
For even former President Obama?
Correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
Ed, go ahead.
Director Gabbard, thank you. So just two questions, but to begin on that. The president yesterday, you've inferred that the former president helped lead a coup. Based on what you now see, do you believe President Obama is guilty of treason?
I'm leaving the criminal charges to the Department of Justice. I am not an attorney, but as I've said previously, when you look at the intent behind creating a fake manufactured intelligence document that directly contradicts multiple assessments that were created by the intelligence community, the expressed intent and what followed afterward can only be described as a years-long coup and a treasonous conspiracy against the American people, our republic, and an attempt to undermine President Trump's administration.
That's it. She said the quiet part out loud. Barack Obama, Barry Soetoro, wasn't just passively involved. She's claiming he orchestrated the intelligence fraud. And that's a direct accusation of treason. But here's the twist. The Supreme Court already ruled there's immunity for official acts. So if Obama did this officially, then he's likely untouchable. Now, isn't that convenient?
The report goes into great detail about the information that Russia and Putin had on Hillary Clinton, which included possible criminal acts like secret meetings with multiple named U.S. religious organizations in which State Department officials offered, in exchange for supporting Secretary Clinton's campaign for the presidency, significant increases in financing from the State Department. They also had documents that showed the patronage of the State Department to State Department employees who would go and support Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference.
This sounds like a dystopian screenplay, but it's a declassified intel drop. Secret, pay-to-play schemes through the State Department, medical reports suggesting instability, and a press corps too afraid to ask a single real question. Let's not forget, this was all buried while Trump's team was hunted down with zero evidence.
Okay, we have some breaking news. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Justice Department told Donald Trump in May that his name is among many in the Epstein files. Again, this is from the Wall Street Journal, and I'll read a little bit from the article. When Justice Department officials reviewed what Attorney General Pam Bondi called a truckload of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein earlier this year, they discovered that Donald Trump's name appeared multiple times, according to senior administration officials. In May, Bondi and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files, the officials said. Many other high-profile figures were also named. Trump was told being mentioned in the records is not a sign of wrongdoing. All right. Stephen Chung of the White House has said this is another fake news story, just like the previous story by the Wall Street Journal. In a statement to the Journal on Friday, Bondi and the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution. As part of our routine briefing, we made the president aware of the findings. But boy, this does sound different when you think about the ways that Donald Trump is trying to tell people not to look at the Epstein files, not to worry about them, to simmer down about it.
Here comes the distraction play. Tulsi drops truth bombs and bam, just like that, Trump's name shows up in the Epstein files. But read carefully. The DOJ said being named in the file isn't a sign of wrongdoing and nothing warranted prosecution. So why name it now? Timing isn't coincidence, it's strategy.
Decision for the Senate Republicans to make, as Chair Aguilar just indicated, as Catherine Clark has indicated, Republicans are on the run. They have nothing good to sell to the American people. And in the context of this Jeffrey Epstein scandal and their refusal to share information to the American people, despite promising to do so, one must ponder the question, what are they hiding from the American people, and what billionaires, what well-connected donors, what elite people are they trying to protect? Why haven't Republicans released the Epstein files to the American people?
Jeffries sounds like a bad actor reading from a weak script. Where was all this say it with your chest energy when Biden was president for 4 years and Epstein's clients were still hidden? Now they suddenly care? Spare me, please. This isn't about justice. It's about flipping the heat.
You may have seen a false headline in the New York Times, and the headline was terribly misleading. It said House Republicans are, quote, adjourning until September to avoid a vote on releasing Epstein materials. I just want you to know, and everybody here knows, that's an outright lie. It's not true. And they were forced to modify their headline and update it today. The reason is, we all know that's the initial lie travels much faster than the truth, and so we're making sure that people know what is actually going on here. I think every single one of your publications have known that the published schedule of Congress was decided in December of 2024, and it's been published ever since. We are fulfilling the calendar. We're working. We'll be working tomorrow. There have been votes every day this week. We have 9 or 10 committees working through markups this week, many tomorrow. Congress is doing its work. No one is adjourning early. We have an August district work period that is very important to the function of Congress that has been recognized for all of memory of this institution, and that is what everyone will be doing. The Times was forced to change the headline because it was completely false. No one in Congress is blocking Epstein documents. No one in Congress is doing that. What we're doing here, Republicans are preventing Democrats from making a mockery of the Rules Committee process because we refuse to engage in their political charade. That is what is happening. Democrats have tried to weaponize this issue as absolutely shameless. And I just want to say this. Democrats said nothing and did nothing, absolutely nothing, about bringing transparency for the entire 4 years of the Biden presidency. But now, all of a sudden, they want the American people to believe that they actually care. Their actions belie their words. We will not be lectured on transparency by the same party that orchestrated one of the most shameless, dangerous political cover-ups in the history of the United States. And that was President Biden's obvious mental decline. House Republicans stand for maximum transparency and truth. We always have and we always will. We're in lockstep with President Trump and his administration on this issue. We are pushing for the release of all credible information to be released with regard to the Epstein matter. I would note also that there are real issues, legal issues, with the CANA resolution, with the Massey resolution. CANA's has no protection whatsoever for the victims of these horrible, unspeakable sex crimes, and Massey's doesn't go far enough. Additionally, the President has directed the Department of Justice to pursue the release of grand jury information, and that is happening as we speak. In fact, the court is processing the DOJ's request for grand jury materials as we are standing here right now.
The media is running cover faster than ever. NYT pushed the lie that Republicans were dodging votes, then had to quietly rewrite the headline after it had already spread. And Speaker Johnson hit the nail on the head. This wasn't a real vote. It was political theater staged by the Democrats, who've never cared about these victims until now.
We don't often hear from former President Obama, but a spokesman releasing a statement saying these bizarre allegations are ridiculous and a weak attempt at distraction. Nothing in the document issued last week undercuts the widely accepted conclusion that Russia worked to influence the 2016 presidential election, but did not successfully manipulate any votes. These findings were affirmed in a 2020 report by the bipartisan Senate Intel Committee led by then Chairman Marco Rubio.
Rubio again. They love that talking point. But here's what they never mentioned. Rubio's own report said there was no collusion. The entire collusion narrative was built on a lie. Funded by Clinton, signed off by Obama's crew, and blessed by the media sheep. And now they're pretending it never happened?
Former President of the United States responds to it. Does it just give it more oxygen and provide more of a distraction?
Yes, but there's a way to do this properly. What Democrats should do is they can respond to it and then pivot to the fact that Donald Trump is overseeing a horrific economy, skyrocketing prices, 17 million people about to lose health care. Every other cost is rising, and Donald Trump is talking about the former president, whom he's been jealous of for at least 10 years, when, if you remember, Barack Obama roasted him during the dinner, and he's been jealous of him since. The truth is that Barack is smarter, he's cooler, he's better looking, and he's much more beloved than Donald Trump, and that really makes him jealous.
This is where the clown music starts. MSNBC seriously thinks this is about Trump's feelings? Obama's not beloved. His legacy's in shambles. He left the black community behind, torched Kamala's campaign, and pushed identity politics so far, we're now arguing about what a woman is. Nobody's jealous. We're just not playing Bobo the Fool anymore. The bottom line is, the media is in full damage control mode. Tulsi's dropping evidence. CNN is cutting mics. Epstein files are being sealed, and Obama's team is circling the wagons. They say this is about distraction, but what are they trying to hide? And here's the real question. If there is nothing to these claims, why is everyone panicking? Riddle me this, people, and drop your comments below. I read every one. Do you think Tulsi Gabbard's claims should be investigated further? Why do you think CNN cut her feed? Should the Epstein files be unsealed with no exceptions? Is Speaker Johnson right to call out the media lies directly? And what do you think the average voter believes at this point? Thanks for watching, people. You know what I need you to do. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this with somebody who still needs to hear it. Thanks again. God bless.
Listen.